Welcome to another episode of the Carlito Monroe Show. I'm your host, Carlito Monroe. If you look at the bottom, got my different social media. All of them are the same, Carlito Monroe Show. What I want to talk about today, I'm just hurry up and get into it because I don't want to make a long video, which I usually do end up running on just talking. But what I want to do was get right into it. The the Takeoff murder has developed some more story. There's different things that's come out, but I didn't really want to necessarily speak on some of those things that I heard about. But I've kind of just made my own conclusion, just looking at different videos, reading different things, and kind of just came to my own kind of conclusion and pretty much my own opinion. So none of this is necessarily a fact. It's just how I see it. So you can take it for what it's worth. But, his real name is Kershnik Kari Ball. And, he was shot and killed in front of the bowling alley in Houston. And some things that I heard develop were that there was a Houston crew that was there with them. And it was almost like they were kind of their protection as a Jazz Prince's group, or I'm not sure if it's his dad or his. I think it's more so his, and it's called Mob Ties. So I don't know if that's just a record label or a name of like a little gang group thing or whatever. But these guys were there, and the last time I reported, it was over a dice game, and come to find out that Takeoff didn't play dice at all. He was a quiet guy. He wasn't one that talked trash or really got into it. Anybody was real laid back, and so that was misinformation that I reported on the last show. But he was a laid back guy, so he wasn't the one playing dice. It was actually Quavo that was playing dice, and apparently he lost a lot of money. And I guess the guy he lost some money to was the guy that he was kind of going back and forth with in front of the bowling alley. And if you look at the video, and the video I saw was TMZ, and then it was another, but they're all the same videos, like different angles. Somebody had a cell phone, a couple of things. It was kind of sideways. It's not the best footage, but it's enough for you to see or get a gist of what's going on. And Quavo was going back and forth with the guy, and it was almost like the guy was rubbing it in his face how he, broke him the other day shooting dice or earlier or whenever they played this dice game. So Quavo, I guess, was visually, felt the way about it because the guy's talking trash and, putting it in his face or whatever. And he's going back and forth with the guy, and then Quavo says, man, let's go before I've been and hurt somebody. And then not long after that, a few seconds, then shots start firing, and then it sounds like it was, return fire and everything, but that video of that's not necessarily clear. But there's a lot of shots start firing. And just me kind of my little investigation of this thing, the first two shots that I heard were kind of muffled. They were muffled shots, as if, not necessarily a suppressor, because if it was a suppressor, you probably would just hear the chamber pop. But you could hear it's like a muffled shot. So I'm led to believe, and it's just my opinion, that the first couple of shots that went off, the person must have had the gun in their pocket or in their jacket pocket or something, and that's what made it muffled. Because it's like if you look at that video again or kind of analyze it yourself, you'll hear like these couple of muffled shots. And then after that, you hear like a woman like, no, and then she said something, and then the shots start really ringing out. And I'm not one to say that the muffled shots were the one that, were the shots that killed Takeoff. But, some of those shots at some point hit him. And if for me, just in my opinion, I don't think it was the two muffled shots that hit him. I think it was once the guy, whoever it was, I'm assuming it was a guy, got the gun out of his pocket, and then start aiming that direction and just firing. Now, judging by what they were going back and forth, it didn't seem like enough to be pulling the gun and shooting anybody. But realistically, what is enough when you dealing with, hood people, non-civilians? When you're dealing with non-civilians, what is enough? What will stop somebody like that from pulling their gun and shooting you? And it could be much of anything. Now I was thinking back on that, for him saying, let's go before I've been and hurt somebody. And right after that, he said, I'm gonna get that back. If you're from the hood, those are threatening words. You can't say before I hurt somebody, like you're removing yourself from the situation just because you could hurt them. Like, you're the alpha male of this situation. And whoever it was just like, oh, that's a threat. They pulled a gun, and they probably already had an issue with him anyway. Just them being famous, just being a media. People have a natural jealousy of you just because you're known or you're famous or you're rich or whatever the case is. They'll have a certain dislike for you just because of that. So I'm assuming this guy may have just not liked him anyway, and he probably felt real good just because he won this money from him. I don't know if it was the other day or earlier or whatever, but in this dice game, he won his money from him. Because if you look at the video again, there's a little part he says, he was talking about the dice game, and then he was like, yeah, and then it seems like the guy or maybe somebody else jokingly said, well, we can play basketball for it. And then that's when you hear Quavo say, oh, well, I can ball or whatever. And he goes on, I was just balling in the gym the other day, because ideally in the hip hop community and famous people, he's considered a good basketball player. So that's kind of where it start changing hands. Meanwhile, they have an angle of the video where it shows Takeoff in the back. He's just standing there. He's not being argumentative. He's not saying anything. He's not even saying something to the guy that's right next to him. He's just standing there. His uncle it seems like it's an issue. So I don't really know, but like TMZ was going on about, well, this person of interest, because that's who on the video is, a guy with a black outfit on, like look twist or braids or whatever he had on his head. And he also had, looked like a Gucci bag or something. It had the red and yellow strap on it. So I'm assuming it's a Gucci bag on knockoff. I don't know what it was, but he had the Gucci bag on, and he had a gun out. And it was up against his thigh. It was like, away from whomever that was over there talking. And I don't know if he pulled it out because he saw that somebody that was in that guy's camp had a gun out, or he just saw that potential situation come on. I got my gun out to pull it, because I'm assuming he was with Quavo. I'm assuming he was with them. Maybe even a check-in kind of situation, like a lot of, I can't think of the rapper's Mexican kid, Tekashi 6ix9ine. Tekashi 6ix9ine, he says wherever he goes, he's not checking in with anybody. I guess it shows a level of weakness to check in, but it appears to me, because they kind of look at check-in as being extorted. I don't think it's an extortion. Well, it kind of is, but I think it's more so of a security thing, whomever you're checking in with, it's their town. So you go check, hey, I'm in town, I'm doing a show, blah, blah, blah. You might give them money, you might give them free tickets, whatever the deal is. They might get to hang with you. Whatever the deal is, they put the word out, hey, such in town, don't touch him. It all depends on who it is. And I think in this case, maybe those guys checked in with the Mob Tie group or whatever, because it was the guy's birthday. It was the Jazz Prince's birthday. And Jay Prince is considered to run Houston, on the hip hop side of things, I guess, or even street stuff. I don't know. That's always been a rumor. Even when I was younger, it was like, oh, Jay Prince, the man. So I think maybe they checked in with them, got it all straightened out. So I'm thinking that guy that had the gun is probably from Houston and is probably with the Mob Ties people. This is just my analogy of it, but I'm thinking he's with the mob ties people, and he was actually there to help security and kind of help the Migos out in the whatever situation they're in. But it's also been reported that it was a fellow mob tie person that he was getting into it with. So I mean, the story is steady developing, but it's just, man, right now it's all over the place, and I kind of just came up with my own theory on the thing. The P guy from Quality Control, I think he's like the CEO or president. He had a statement where he said a stray, it's a shame like a stray bullet has taken another life. A stray bullet has taken another life. And my theory is for you to make that kind of statement like that, I don't know if Quavo may have told him the story or somebody in their camp told the story of what all laid out, for him to say, oh, it was just a stray. It wasn't like that. So, or maybe he just came off the rip and say, hey, just made that statement like that and just put it out there for the media. And then something they may be trying to handle more in-house, whatever the case is. But it leads me to believe that maybe Quavo or somebody else told him more of the story that actually went on that night. But just outside looking in like myself, this is what I think happened. Quavo played dice, lost a lot of money, or at least it was considered a lot of money to me. The guy was bragging about how he got him. And then, it looked like Quavo wanted to play some more or you want to get that money back or the opportunity to get the money back. Maybe the guy shook the game up, and I was younger, that was shaking the game up. You play and start winning, then you get up and like, well, I'm done, not giving the other people the opportunity to get their money back. So whatever the case is, Quavo was upset about it. They kind of going back and forth, just talking. And I think a basketball game was offered and Quavo didn't like that. And then it seemed like Quavo just got tired of the guy talking trash to him and maybe tempers flared. Quavo's walking away. But while he's walking away, he's saying, I better leave before I hurt somebody. That's a threat to a street dude. So I think him saying those words is what caused the guy to draw down and start shooting. And then I think this crew and that crew just kind of started shooting at each other, and in a crossfire, Takeoff got hit. Because when Quavo said, let's go for I hurt somebody, he's leaving. He passed by that guy who had the gun on his side, the one they're saying is person of interest. Takeoff was still over here, still on the other side. So he basically left his nephew behind. And left a family member behind in a situation, but he probably assumed, hey, we out here. I mean, it's at night, but it was well lit. It's bowling alley. If anything would happen, it'd be more so a fight than a straight shooting from somebody, especially in that vicinity. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have thought that either. I mean, I'm not necessarily a street guy, but I wouldn't have thought that either. I wouldn't have thought somebody would shoot this wide open. Usually places like there's cameras everywhere, but yeah, I mean it's an insane situation, and rest in peace to the young brother. He was 28 years old, and my condolences to his family and the record label Quality Control. I mean he was a good artist, and he wasn't the one that people really knew. They always heard Quavo on hooks. I can't remember the other one's name. They always heard those other two. And then he just started, spreading his wings, and you start hearing him on more songs, and you find out, man, he's a lyricist. He's better than them. And then that's how I looked at it, in my opinion. He was a better rapper than both of those guys, than Quavo and Offset. That's the other name. Then Quavo and Offset, Takeoff was a better rapper than Quavo and Offset. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. But man, it's a loss for the hip hop community, especially because out of the rappers that I do listen to that are current rappers, they were one of the groups. Little Baby, Da Baby, those that was like the group I listened to. I don't listen to Drake. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not a Drake fan, but those were like the three groups that I would listen to, or the three artists or whatever, the Migos, the Baby, and Lil Baby. That's who I would listen to. So, Yeah, man, it's a sad loss, but I mean the story's still developing. I honestly believe the police know more than what they're letting on, and there's a few things that I didn't really want to speak on, just because of the family, things that I thought personally that may be going on, and I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to offend the family because I don't want to offend the family because they still have a loss. But yeah, I believe the police. I believe the police already know who this person of interest. That's a witness. But you know how things work with investigation. They might not just go just because this guy has this gun. Okay, yeah, we'll hunt him down. But then we see clear faces on these other parts. We'll get them in. And then, and here's the thing, even if that guy that with the gun, if they get a hold of him and then they find out, they say, oh, well, yeah, you're that guy, you was there with the gun. And he's like, well, I didn't shoot him. It doesn't matter. You fired a gun in that direction, or you fired a gun in the vicinity of where somebody got shot. Whether it's your bullet or not, we're going to have to charge you with capital murder. That's murder. That they'll do that if you're in an armed robbery and you have the getaway car. So say like you and your buddies rob a bank. It's 4 of y'all. You the getaway driver. The other 3 go into the bank to rob it. You in the car just waiting to take off. They come running out. They jump out. They got the money. You pull off down the street. You driving. The cops end up putting up a roadblock, catching all of y'all. Come to find out, while they were in there robbing the bank, it was a little old lady in the line, and that little old lady could have been 90 some years old. And she died from a heart attack from that situation. All 4 of y'all getting charged with murder. This is a fact. All 4 of y'all. Anybody dies or get hurt during a felony crime. Anybody dies, you get charged with murder. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. And so even, with Takeoff getting shot and killed, this guy, they're more likely they get a hold of him, he's going to get charged with murder. And my guess is they may try to offer him something, say, well, we'll lessen your time, but you point out who else was there. You tell me tell me something. And that's when you're going to see if it's really mob ties and all of that, because I'm thinking he's probably going to tell it all. Well, whatever he knows. And it's another thing, and this is just something that I know about. When you have a gun, anytime you have a gun, at least where I live, that's all guns. When that bullet comes out of that gun, it's almost like it puts an ID on the bullet. When the bullet comes out, when it comes through the barrel, it spins, it puts an ID on that bullet. They can get fingerprints off that bullet, and they can get from that bullet what registered gun it came from. Now, the person not saying he could have had a stolen gun, but more than likely he probably didn't load it with plastic gloves on, so he may get fingerprints. That's the best you can hope for to try to solve this whole thing, and maybe get a hold of this guy that knew something. I'm really not surprised they ain't got Quavo, arrested till they get some answers. But this story is still developing, and if I find out some more actual information, this was just kind of a shot in the dark for me, just me looking at the video, stopping, rewinding, and just reading different things. It's just what I got from it, man. And again, my heart goes out to the family, and we lost a good current hip hop artist, and he was so young at 28. It's crazy. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this show. Hey, if you like the show, like, share, subscribe. Check out the social media, all of them, Carlito Monroe Show. It's your boy, Carlito Monroe. Peace.